Go.
All right, let's go.
We live. Once again, we back in the building. Redeem Yourself podcast. Shit, man. I want to say it's episode 46. I could be lying, but I figured out after we upload this joint, man. How you doing this evening, bro?
I'm doing good, man. How you living?
Man, I'm coolin', dog. Dealing with life struggles, but maintaining and continuing to press forward regardless of what's going on around me. You know what I'm saying?
I do know.
Well, my guy Ryan, you ready to share your story, inspiration, strength, and hope?
I will. I hope that I'm a good vessel for whatever good can come from me sharing my story.
Man, I've heard awesome things about you, bro. And you know what I'm saying? Follow you on the gram. I see what you're doing. Awesome work. So I'm looking forward to this, bro. You ready?
I am ready.
Let's get it. This how I got to rock out, man.
I like it.
Dope. Salute to my guy Aaron for the intro. Y'all know the vibes. Hey, what's going on? This is Jared. Like I said, this is Redeem Yourself podcast. I'm your host, Jared. I got a special guest in the building tonight. He goes by the name of Ryan, and we about to rock this shit. Let's get it. Yes, sir. We live, man. Now, appreciate you being patient with me, man. This fucking camera, I swear, bro.
And look, man, learn to be patient.
That's part of recovery, right?
It is. Especially here lately, I've been kind of on that,
Yeah. No doubt, man. Well, I'm happy to have you in the building, bro. So how I generally do the podcast. First and foremost, man, want to thank you for coming on. You know what I'm saying? Taking time out of your schedule to pop in, bro, and share with the people. And how we get started, man, I like to do check-ins, bro. I like to see, the peace of mind that everybody's in. You know what I'm saying? So how was your week, good sir? Well, it was Monday, man. You were recording Monday, but how was the previous week leading up until today?
All right. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you to you before we get started. Like I told you before we got started, I think this area has such a wealth of just recovery and just inspiration and motivational tales and stories and so many amazing people here in this area. So thank you for, what you do, for giving people the space to share their hope, because I know that also contributes to us feeling better about ourselves. So
most certainly. Appreciate you, bro.
So anyway, man, today's Monday.
Today is Monday.
Started a new work week and had a great weekend. So I kind of entered the week refreshed, super duper grateful. Here lately, I guess probably like the last 2 or 3 months, I've really been on just feeling like more spiritually connected than I probably ever have in my life. So, I've been, and a lot of that has to do with the way I wake up, happy, grateful, just that type of perspective.
That's what's up. What's your morning routine? Says it's difficult when you say like, I just wake up happy and grateful. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like to the average person who so that person that's new in recovery, it's like, what the hell is the how?
Okay.
Break it down.
So now sometimes I do wake up completely happy. But,
Me too.
But that's not always the case. But I just, when I wake up, as soon as I'm aware that I'm awake, I get up. Like I don't sit there and lay in the bed. That's just not good for me. I also heard this lady, I can't think of her name, but she had something called like 5-minute miracle or something like that. But
Mel Robbins.
Yeah. Right. And so that, like hearing her that years ago, that's a part of my routine, is listening to like some type of motivational or inspirational video, podcast, audio, book, something to get my day started, just so I can get my brain thinking on the right track. So I get up first thing, brush my teeth, go get my coffee, come home, do my meditation, journal, and then get busy and get ready for the day.
That's what's up. Thank you for breaking that down, bro, because I know everybody's routine is a little bit different, man. You know what I'm saying? So it took me a while to get into that space, and as you tell your story, I'll chime in with bits and pieces of mine where I align with yours and such. But I know early in my recovery, I had a therapist, and he challenged me. He was like, yo, why don't you go for a walk without music? Be grateful for the trees, feel the wind, listen to the birds. And I was like, yo, that sounds nuts. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just put music in my ears and go on about my business? And he was like, listen, I'm trying to get you in an attitude of gratitude. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. If it works, bro, I did it and felt so alive. because it's those little things that for so long I had taken for granted.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? I was just existing, bro. I didn't realize, like, yo, I got sight. I have ears. I have a sound mind. I can move. Like, everything around me, I feel. You dig what I'm saying?
100%.
So, word.
I definitely.
So my check-in, man, we spoke a little bit before, bro. I'm in a good space, but dealing with a lot and just trying to manage, you know what I'm saying, while still showing up for others, taking on those burdens, like helping people in recovery, while also trying to deal with my own circumstances that life has kind of dealt, to people that I love and care about dearly. But I'm gonna make it, man. If my life is any testament, bro, I've been through so much, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I'm still here. So I thank my higher power for that. And how my morning routine works, man, like really I want to say I'm on like a 10-day streak now. I wake up, first thing I do is pop open a little Bible app. It gives me like a verse of the day, then a meditation where I talk to my higher power and kind of get through. Then I meditate for 10 minutes on something else and just kind of come at peace, and just be ready for whatever the day brings. And then I listen to like audio, some type of book. Right now I think, man, you know what? I got my damn phone out, man. Why not just say what book? Maybe shout out to out there. So right now I'm listening to Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life by author Dr. Wayne W. Dyer.
Love Wayne Dyer.
Word?
Yeah, he's awesome.
I was about to say, bro, this is a long ass book, but I'm chipping away at it, man. I'm chipping away at it, bro.
Yeah, he was one of the ones in my heavy rotation in all my years of incarceration.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
That's what's
love
up.
Wayne Dyer, yeah.
Okay. Well, man, then let's dive into it, bro. I'm ready to hear your story, man, and kind of see, what led you to this space where we can have this conversation, man. So I generally just start with the basic question of how was life for you growing up?
Honestly, man, life was pretty normal for me. I think, I grew up in like lower middle class America.
Okay.
I had a very, my dad like worked real hard. He became a father really young. I'm with my older half brother, and by the time I got there, we lived in the city for like a couple of years and then moved right into Chesterfield. And so
you lived in Richmond City?
At first, yeah.
Okay.
And then we moved, Richmond, like school started telling my parents that I was progressing kind of fast, and they didn't have any type of programs like that. So we moved just inside the county. So I go to county schools. And so I got an older brother, younger sister. And so, I mean, it was kind of normal. My house wasn't as normal as it normal can be, right? Like, that doesn't mean there wasn't, a lot of arguing. My dad was, I know now that he did the best he had with what he had, but
hindsight is a mug, right?
Right, because now I'm a father, right? But and I understand
how the tables turn, bro.
Right, but back then I didn't really understand. But he ruled our house with like fear and intimidation at times. But that doesn't mean that it also wasn't a lot of love there. And he definitely, my dad was there for us all the time. I went through my parents getting divorced. Probably like around my teenage year, adolescent, like right at that time, 13, 14. My mom tried to commit suicide. She battles with substance use disorder and mental health, always has. And, so grew up in type of stuff like that. And, it was just, when I found substances, like because of growing up like that, it was, it was my solution, man. Like,
right.
Again, it kind of calmed down all that chaos for a little bit.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing, you know what I'm saying, is, which is similar to me and my pops, the fear and intimidation factor. Now being a father, which I try to stray away from it because I didn't enjoy it. Like, who the hell would? But now it's like, damn, I understand. He was really trying to save me from myself.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying? And he didn't know any other way. And him and I, we've had the pleasure of speaking about these occurrences. And he was just like, man, I was just trying to help you. I saw, and to be like frankly honest, he had his own issues.
No doubt.
So he already knew what was ahead of me. And, that was a lot of it, bro. But for the life of me, little 16-year-old, defiant as hell, thinking I know everything, I'm like, yo, you don't know shit. Why? You know what I'm saying? Why you doing this to me? And I'm bucking at him, man. And it's, in the space that I'm in now, bro, it's like I'm reliving the moments consistently in my mind. Like, bro, you really was just there for me. And I was looking the other way the whole time, man. So I appreciate you putting that in perspective for me, because it draws me back, because I remember that so vividly. You know what I'm saying? So another point, you said that your mother also suffered mental health, substance abuse. So were you seeing like maybe drug use or alcoholism like super young, or what age do you think you even paid attention to it?
Honestly, man, like there was drinking that went on in my house, but it wasn't in any way, shape, or form like anything that my life ever turned into.
Right.
Like if my mom and dad drink on the weekends and stuff, my mom.
Normal shit, like normies.
Right.
Yeah.
But my mom had like a pill habit and some other stuff that I didn't know about and until I got way older.
Okay.
You know, but the time she was living at our house, I had no idea. I was, you know, a young kid. I just didn't know.
Yeah. Likewise. I mean, parents, like when I was my firstborn, I tried to hide it the best that I could. You know what I'm saying? Like, 'cause he was super young. He was about 3 years old. Like, he wouldn't know the difference. He probably just knew, like, Daddy, you weird. You know what I'm saying? However little kids think. Like, they figure shit out, but he didn't really know what I was battling.
Yeah. Well, so with my mom, it was like, it was more the things that were evident at the time, more evident was her depression, right? Like she would sleep in the bed all day long. Like I would get home from school, she'd be in the bed. She'd be in the bed all the way till nighttime, you know, and dealt with that for years and years and years, and ultimately led to her trying to attempt suicide. And
how old were you then?
I was 13, I think.
And were you like present in the house when this happened?
I was, but so I had an older brother and a younger sister, and you know, I had middle child syndrome, man. I was, you know, in trouble a lot, and you know, my brother was like a do-gooder, so I would always try to break from his shadow. He was, you know, much more handsome.
I've been there too, bro.
Right, so much more handsome than me, and better at sports.
I ain't gonna give my brother all that shit.
and much better at sports than I was, and you know, so I kind of grew up in the shadow. But yeah, so you know, I mean, dealing with that type of stuff in the house, man. I don't know. I think them getting divorced at like 13 when my mom tried to attempt suicide, my dad also had, because, you know, the kids kind of turned on him. And I'm kind of reflecting on this. You're going to hear me talk a lot about my dad because my dad recently passed on April 2nd.
God bless his soul, bro.
Yeah, and so,
here we go, man. Hey, you good with it, bro. Where the my man Sean just walked in the building. Recovery Outdoors. Salute. This my guy Ryan. He missed the whole intro. Yeah, we gonna need that tissue box today, bro. Thank you, sir. Appreciate you. That's the producer of Redeem Yourself podcast.
Thank you. So yeah, man. You know, I just remember that time because, like, you know, because he ruled the house with fear and intimidation, he kind of did the same thing with my mom. You know, he was like. And he grew up in a household where the man was the man and was actually abusive. The house he grew up in, the man abusing the.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it, bro.
The man abusing his dad abused his mom. You know what I mean? So he didn't do that necessarily, like put hands on my mom, but he, you know, was very
like demanding.
Yeah, and he harped on stuff a lot. Like if you did something wrong, my dad wouldn't let it go. He would keep on and on and on, ask you like redundant questions, like, how many times do I have to tell you? And then he'd expect an answer.
Word. Like
I'm like,
bro, just answer. You got it.
So,
damn, that shit. Yeah, we gotta watch the spring, man. You know, I'm gonna get some new mic stands this weekend. I'm tired of that shit.
My bad.
Nah, it's not you, bro. It's me.
So you know, growing like all that stuff. So the kids turned on my dad basically, but we didn't want to leave and move out and go with my mom when she moved out. And so because she was at another school district, we were all in high school. I was pretty popular in school. So was my brother. So was my sister. We had a lot of friends. We all played sports in our area. You know, we're like established on our sports teams.
Right.
And so we stayed with my dad, but all of us like with bitterness, you know. And we blamed him a lot for my mom. And even though now we understand it wasn't his fault, you know. But so he was dealing with all that. Plus, you know, me acting a fool because I had been running with the wrong crowd very early on. You know, started trying to live outside my brother's shadow. So like my first drug of choice was attention. Right?
Yeah.
Like I would act out and get attention from other people. It was that in leadership, right? Like I get attention that way too, like becoming an outstanding athlete or doing, you know, in sports. But, you know, so.
Bro, I'm glad you said that, man. Like my first drug of choice was attention. Wow. Continue, bro. That shit just kind of, it hit me. You know, something hit you and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So,
that's real.
And not long after the stuff with my mom and dad, I had already been, you know, on my way to the drug scene and you know, but I had started using that somewhere around that time. I don't remember exactly when it was, but I can remember the first time I did it. Me and my friend snuck out. My friend Wes.
How old were you?
I was like 13, around the same age.
Bro, 13 is like such a fucking common age, man.
It is.
Damn it. Like that expiration, bro. Everybody that I've interviewed, including myself, like it started around 13. And what I believe, what like the trend here and that I'm just noticing is that we were just old enough to kind of notice our surroundings and try to fill a void of what we were missing from the household.
Right. And so this is my interpretation of it is like it's when you start to become aware of your spirit. Like even though I didn't know it at that time, you know, like you're kind of trying to figure out life, and so like life starts to have a different type of meaning, and so you know you're kind of on a search to find what that is, and so we do a whole lot of different things, and some of us, I know for me, when I found substances, the way it made me feel, I felt like that was the answer. Yeah, right? No doubt. Like, oh, this thing calms me down. Like it makes my all that second guessing myself and all of the, you know, negative self-talk and things that go on in my head that are a result of partially of my environment and other things. It made all that quiet down. And like I was always popular, was, like I said, leader in sports, but inside myself, somewhere along the line, I started developing this negative self-image, and I felt like people didn't really like me. I think it was because I really didn't like myself. Right. You know,
we are our own worst enemy, bro.
Right. And so, you know, when I smoked weed for the first time, I remember I snuck out with a friend. We went over to this older cat's house that we had helped do some landscaping, and he gave us some weed, and we you know, I remember, it's crazy how you remember this stuff like it's yesterday. You
bro,
know
I got a funny ass first weed story too, bro.
And so he comes out with this baby bottle, this baby blue baby bottle. And I'm looking at it because I don't even understand how this contraption works. You know what I mean? It's like a feat of engineering I've never seen. So I'm like, and then you suck on it and the bubbles start blowing. I'm like, how in the hell? Right? And so I end up hitting it, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, what am I supposed to feel like? You know? And I remember asking him, like, he's like, bro, you'll know. And I can just remember sitting on the couch and the feeling overcoming me, and it was almost like, it was like my first experience with everything being okay. And I just felt like, man, this is it. Yeah. And then I remember, I'll never forget this, man. On the way home, the dude I was with, I was like, bro, because, you know, up until this point, like our parents and, you know, people had been like kind of telling us to stay away from substances that was DARE and all that. And so I was like, bro, they've been lying. I was like, shit. I'm like, he was like,
DARE, yo. Okay, DARE, man, they took this shit from us.
I said, man, look. I said, bro, we doing this every day. And he was like, yes, we are. And then it was like, that's what we proceeded to do. And so, you know, and that kind of set the stage for that summer. And then, you know, the rest is history. It was like a rapid, you know, spiral from there.
So you started with marijuana.
I did, yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, my first, I want to say, man, we drank Coronas first. And that shit was just on a whim, 13, 14 years old, summertime, Florida. I was back home visiting. And it was a funny-ass story because my aunt went to work, and there was a couple Coronas in the fridge. My uncle had also left some weed. So we were like, yo, fuck it. Like, we gonna see what this shit does, man. We didn't know what we were doing, bro. So we took sticky pad paper and just put this shit in the middle.
Like a sticky note.
Yes. Bro, stuck it. Man, we could have died. Like, fucking around smoking glue. Like, so we did it kind of same shit. We sat around like, oh, you feel something? Nah, I don't feel nothing. Then, you know what I'm saying? About 45 minutes, like, oh, shit. Like, I'm pretty sure we acted it out. Like, yo, this shit is cool. And then we drank the Coronas. And my aunt came home like later that evening when she got off work. For hours, bro, we could not find the fucking lighter. So we ripping apart sofas because we hiding like a little tipsy. We're like, oh shit, man, we got to find this joint. Finally, we gave up. Like, fuck it. Maybe we dropped it outside. Man, my aunt came home, walked right to her fridge, opened that shit. It was like, yo, who put a lighter in the fridge? we just, nobody said nothing, bro. We just all looked at each other and went outside. It's like, oh shit. Oh man. To be young again.
Dude,
goddamn, bro.
So look, I'm just going to tell this brief story because it remind me of that. But so, because I'm talking about fitting in and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Like I can remember being young.
That was me too, bro.
I can remember being young and drinking for the first time with my friends. And like I didn't like the taste of beer. And they all used to drink pretty frequently in this one little neighborhood. Like I don't know if you know where Meadowdale is.
Yeah.
If you know where,
just strumming a guitar on this bitch.
If you know where Meadowdale apartments are, but it's over in Southside, like the Meadowbrook School District. Whatever.
Okay, yeah, that's out there, like Ironbridge.
Right, but back in the day when I was younger, that was like a little, it wasn't tough, but it was like less, like that's what kind of where the, less.
I got you.
Parents didn't really look over their kids as much.
Yeah, so if we were doing West End, I'd say like London Town.
Yes.
All right, gotcha.
Completely lost my train of thought.
You was in Meadowbridge hanging out with some friends.
Oh yeah, okay. I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good, bro. We all do that,
bro. It'd be like that. That's that weed, though. But but anyway, man. So they were all drinking, and I can remember like acting like I was drinking and going and pouring my beer out and then pretending to be drunk. Right, like just because I wanted to drink, but I didn't like the taste of it. And
right.
I really wanted to be drunk, to be honest with you, but I just couldn't stomach it.
Yeah.
So it was like I was like,
shit is nasty.
I was like, I'm just gonna pretend to be drunk, you know what I mean, and like whatever I thought that was.
Yeah.
And so that just like spotlights. Even then, man, it was like I just wanted to fit in. That's what the whole thing about the alcohol and the drugs was. It was really just. Like it made me feel more connected to the people close to me. It was something we could bond over to because I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin.
That's what my dog Black Liquid described as the social glue. You know what I'm saying? Like I too, bro, I hated the taste of beer. But everybody around me was drinking. I finally felt like I fit in. I was like, all right, well, this is what it takes to be popular. I got beer. Where are we going? You know what I'm saying?
No
I got weed. Where are we going? I got powder. Where, just to feel like, yes, man, I have friends. Now I'm like, yo, fuck all that. If you can't accept me for who I am, I don't need to go.
I'm with it.
Know what I'm saying? But continue. So we left off at the first time you and your homeboy, you felt the relaxing sensation of what weed had offered you, the escape. And y'all wanted to do it every day.
And that's what we did. And then,
How old were you then?
I was 13 then, but by the time I was 14, I had caught a charge, and I had got a couple different charges, like stealing a car and
allegedly.
Yeah, and some other stuff. And then I got a possession on school property, like the end of my 9th grade year, and that was the first time I went to jail.
So they locked you up at high school?
They didn't lock me up right then. It was at Meadowbrook High School, but they didn't lock me up there.
Well, that's a nice ass school.
Well, they gave me like a summons to go to court. So I went to court right before I started school, my sophomore year, and they locked me up for like 30 days.
And juvenile?
Mm-hmm. And that was the start of what turned out to be a long career of incarceration.
So that was the first start. What was that initial 30 days, man? Because I was a late bloomer when we talk about like being incarcerated. I didn't get incarcerated till I freshly turned 21. As we all know, I probably could have been there a lot sooner. Just lucky, I never got caught. You know what I'm saying? Until luck ran out. You know what I'm saying? And my luck kept running out, like over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Like
I do.
Shit.
Dude.
So that first 30 days, bro, you what, like 16?
No, I was still 14.
14,
so
14.
I never forget walking down this long hallway that connected from the court to go into the detention home. Mm-hmm. And, I used to think I was tough and, around all my group of friends and stuff like that. And so, I remember walking down that hall, that long, I forgot what they call it, a breezeway or whatever, and just being scared to death. And it was like coming to face with this image I had created, right? Like, oh, you so tough, but really I was shaking, right? And so, and when I look back at stuff like that, it's like that's what continued to contribute to my using was because the imposter syndrome of like, I know I'm not this person that I'm pretending to be to everybody.
I got to keep this mask on.
Right, not only that, but like, and that was in the early stages. Eventually, I really began to develop that personality and become that person. But back then, I was just faking the funk. You know what I mean? And so, and that damages your self-esteem, right? And so then I got to use more because I got to cover up that
pain,
that insecurity
hurt,
of not being of being somebody other than who I'm presenting. And so, so that started that part of my career, and that just went on. And I somehow managed to graduate high school. My dad couldn't, like I told you, my parents got divorced right at this time. So my dad worked shift work at a power plant and worked like 60 hours a week. So, he couldn't really control me. And so once I got on papers, it was like their form of controlling me was, I'm going to call your PO.
Shit.
As a juvenile, I had 26 different violations in front of the same judge. I got locked up like so many times. I went upstate to the Department of Juvenile Justice on violations for failing dirty urns. You know what I mean?
Damn it. Yeah. And this is all before you turned 18.
Yeah, I was institutionalized by the time I was 18 just from doing so much time. And all my friends was in jail. Like when I would go down there, like my whole squad of guys I used to hang on the street would be in there. And so it was like, and then not only that, but we like,
y'all was there just kicking it.
And we like ran the joint.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I don't mean running because it won't tough like that, but I'm talking about in the detention home. When I went upstate, that's a whole different story. That was like traumatic.
Where?
Because, up there, like at least in adult jail, people have like a sense of like respect for one another at some level. Yeah. Man, and in the department, it ain't like that. Like kids are just savages.
Yeah, because they don't know communication. We all here for a reason. So I don't know how to talk my way through a problem. You know what I'm saying? The only resort I know is, hey, bro, I don't like the way you looking at me. I'm gonna just take off on you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. And I fought in there. I did like 6 months upstate after I did the time in the detention, and I fought in there almost every day, and I didn't win.
So it's like gladiator school.
Right. I didn't win all that many, but I fought, you know what I mean? And it hardened me up, but it super traumatized me too, And I can just remember sitting in there, man, in the detention. It was at Bon Air, which is now like it's a juvenile prison, I guess. And I can just remember sitting in there, man, thinking to myself like, just being terrified, not knowing I was going to have to fight that night and being scared, but like knowing I can't say no. If I say no, they're going to fight anyway. They're going to bang me. If I fight, then I'm going to probably lose. And it's like, bro, I can just remember like praying to myself like, man, I hope I don't never want to come back in here, And now today I can share that, right? Right. And I don't care if it sounds like suckerish or whatever, but it is what it is, right?
My dog, there's nothing suckerish about understanding your feelings and your emotions. Yeah, bro, cry it out, dog. That's what we do, man. Like,
that's what it is.
Because that's real, bro. Back then, to be so young and be in an environment where you can't even lay your head down without knowing, like, man, I got to knuckle up for no good fucking reason, and I'm tired of fighting. You know what I'm saying? I'm tired of running. I'm tired of feeling this way, but I'm stuck.
Yeah, bro. It was crazy. It's the only thing. It's like, going through that like gives me a little bit of insight on what it's like to be in like an abusive relationship at some level that you can't get away from. Because I was like in a room with a dude that I used to almost have to fight almost every night. Then after we would fight, I didn't want to fight him. He'd make me fight him. And then we would have to be cool afterward. It was just weird, man.
Yeah, bro. How the fuck could you sleep?
Yeah, it was wild. And so I got out of there, and then of course I come home and, just jump back into everything. And, long story short, my childhood was filled with, jails and detention home stays and going upstate and a lot of trouble. And then somehow I managed to graduate high school on time. Kind of glazed over that. Sorry.
It's all good, bro.
Let me keep my hands down. Kind of glazed over that. But I was really good in school, you know what I mean? Like school was my thing, where some people are artistic, some people can play instruments or do this. Like I was just good at learning.
That's what's up. So you found some type of like solace, and I can go to class and I can just sit here and learn without the worry or concern with what these other establishments like I had to go through.
Right. Well, learning for me just is I could excel at it, and so and I was interested in it. Okay. And I have severe ADHD anyway. Like I had a hard time focusing as a kid, so. School interests me. Okay.
That's what's up, man. That's what's up. Because generally it's like, well, not generally, because I don't know everybody's story, but most of the time from what I've heard, and even myself included, like, it was the opposite. Like, I hated going to school, but now what I've come to find about myself is that it's not that I dislike learning. It was what was being taught. I just had no interest in. You know what I'm saying? Because even then, it's like, I'm on a daily path of education every day. Like
Right.
oh, goddamn, I'm doing it. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, new mic stands this weekend, bro. I'm done with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to educate myself daily in something.
Right.
You know, but it took me until I was 27 to find that out. Like, I used to think I hated reading books. You know what I'm saying? But the first day I came home from the like psych ward spot in the hospital and chose sobriety, I went right to Barnes and Noble and was like, all right, they told me, if you want to change your life, change your mind, find it in a book. So I just went in there and just picked 2 books that stood out to me. And them books ended up changing the way I thought. But they spoke to me so much that I finished them, both of them, in like a week. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, reading is dope. Like, and then, you know what I'm saying? It's like a never ending journey of knowledge. You know, you feel me? So that's cool, bro. I like that. I like that a lot.
So what 2 books was it?
The 2 books, and I probably said this a bunch of times. The first one was The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. And the second one was Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And the reason they stood out, both of them started with the authors being addicts and living in their parents' house broke. And that's exactly where I was. I think a Grant Cardone joint, he said he was 28. I was like 27, about to turn 28. T. Harv Eker's, I think he was like early 30s. But both of them were like my situation. Like Grant Cardone's joint, he says like, here I am, 28, dead broke, living in my parents' basement or some shit. And I'm like, damn, I'm 27, dead broke, sleeping on my mama's sofa. You know what I'm saying? And now he's, you know, is a billionaire, real estate mogul. But what it taught me in that moment was like, when we were talking earlier about our vision and our dreams. So the whole principle behind the 10X rule, and I'm not trying to sell this shit because Grant Cardone don't pay me, but I did like this book. The principle behind it was, why would I chase a goal and do it like 1X? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I could do 10 times what I thought I was gonna do. So say you running. Yo, my goal today is I'm gonna just run 1 mile, right? And I'm fuck it, man. Put a goal for 10 miles. That way, if you run 6, you did way more than 1. So that whole thought process, I was like, yo, that's so fucking dope. Because here I was in that moment, man, just trying to find my way. It offered me a glimpse of like, all right, they say work ethic, hard work gets you where you want to go. So that's how I thought about everything. Like, so if I woke up and was like, man, shit, I'm going to do 1 lap today, man, that's good enough. Like, immediately it was like, nah, fuck that. You doing 10. That way, if you stop at 7, you did way more than 1. And that's how I just lived my life. Like, everything I tried to do, it's a solid ass book. And then T. Harv Eker's joint was kind of the same. But that joint was more of like breaking down the mental thought process of like how, you know, wealthy people thought, like the shit they do that we talk about now. You wake up early, you ground yourself in meditation, you start simply by moving, because immediately you're ahead of the people who just roll out of bed and go on with their day complaining.
No
you
doubt.
dig?
No doubt.
But yeah.
I do. Well, that's good. I was just interested. I love reading, so I just wanted to
check them out. Nah, I ain't going front, man. And then Grant Cardone has another one called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And that one's just as good. It's like the sequel to the 10X rule, which is dope.
Nice. So I guess the next part of the story is, so I go through high school and all that stuff.
You finally graduate, man. You going through the juvenile system. You get to walk the stage.
That's it. I get off of papers on my 18th birthday.
Okay.
And I graduated high school at 17. Went on the run that whole summer, and then when I finally turned myself in, I stayed locked up for like a month and got off papers and was released on my 18th birthday. And at that time, some of my friends here, you know, I was going down the wrong path, and I had a couple of friends die in a car accident behind drinking and driving. And some of my other friends, I had started experimenting with heroin by this time, and had been, you know, using cocaine and crack and stuff. And so I just knew, man, like something in my spirit was telling me, like, you got to get out of here, man. And so, you know, I was always the last one up at night at the party, you know. And I happened to be up one night, late night, and we were taking some hallucinogens or whatever, and something just came over me. I'm like, man, you got to get out of here. So the next morning I called my uncle. He lived in Florida, because he had been telling me, if you want to come down here, let me know. And I just so happened my senior year, I went there on like spring break. down in West Palm.
Okay, that's what's up. I got mad family down there, bro.
Yeah, so he lived in Port St. Lucie.
Oh yeah, it was Port
Stewart.
St. Lucie, Stewart, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. That's where like a majority of my family lives, and then Tallahassee is where like my immediate family lived.
Right. So yeah, he lived in Martin County and Stewart.
That's what's up.
And Port Salerno, like that area. So he was like, yeah, come on down. So I moved down there. Like 3 days later, I got on a train and went down there running from myself for the first time.
Bro, I did that too. And moving to Florida was a fucking awful idea.
Bro, well, listen, like the way, so it always worked out for me when I did the geographical location thing. Yo. It worked out in the beginning, like when I first got there. But then, like, before you know it, I looked up and I was just surrounded by the same people with different faces and different names, you know?
But Florida's so different because the access to everything you need is so much more. I did it when I was 24. No, 25. My first son was born. I was a felon. I couldn't find work. My grandfather owns a few companies down. So I'm like, you know, fuck this. I'm out. Like, I'm not going to keep drinking and drugging and not doing nothing. So I moved down there. And first week was cool. You know what I'm saying? First week I was all right, you know, making money, chilling. Bro, but by that weekend, I had found a whole new group of homeboys. I was in the trap, bro. I was at somewhere, man, where I was stepping over bodies. Like,
oh my God.
And you know, if you've been there, you've been there. You know what I'm saying? And like 6 months went by, and I remember sitting at my grandma's house, and I was like, this is not why I came here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm literally in the same place, but much worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I came on back. But that's when it first taught me, like, all right, well, clearly, like, I can't outrun me because I'm just going to show up no matter where I go.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, so that set the stage for a whole bunch of those, right? And I stayed down there for a couple of years, ended up joining the military.
Okay.
You know, my addiction is progressing this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but it ain't, I hadn't reached that point of no return yet, I don't think. I think I was still somewhat manageable. You know, I could go to work and, you know, pay my bills halfway.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to the military, I still hadn't got no legal trouble or nothing. But then I went to the military and I remember before I went, my dad was like, this is either going to be the best thing that ever happened to you or the worst. Mm. And he wanted me to go because they were terrified at this point because I was using a lot of heroin and was like, you know, nodding out all the time in the house. And they was thinking I was dying. And I was just thinking I was feeling the best I ever felt. I was like,
the world of like, two
wake
different
up.
dynamics. Like, yo, stop.
Right. And so, funny story, the Army recruiter, when I was going to go to the Army, she said, you know, she would take me to this store because MEPS, you'd have to go to MEPS where you do entry at on Monday. And so the recruiters didn't work on the weekend. So on Friday, she would call me and say, you know, take me to go get the stuff to clean my system out. Mm-hmm. And then I would take it. And then Monday morning, I'd be dirty still because I don't use, you know, the
whole weekend.
Right. So after doing this like 5 or 6 times, finally, she was like, just call me when you're ready. Right? And so my dad was
yo.
So I told my dad, I was like, Dad, you got to keep me in the house. Like, don't let me go nowhere. Because if anybody could do it, my dad, you know.
Word.
And so he was like, all right. And he kept me in there. But, and this was also like an introduction to me being of service to others. It's like, when I was there, I was just going crazy. Like I was struggling. I ain't had a habit necessarily, but I had a psychological habit. Because up until this point for like, since I was 13 to then, I had been on some type of substance all the time.
Felt like you was missing out. Right.
Mm-hmm. And so a couple of friends of mine were doing this vacation Bible school class for these kids. Mm-hmm. And they were like, why don't you come help us do this? And they knew I had, you know, when I was younger, I used to want to be a teacher. That was like my dream. Mm. And so they were like, yeah, come do this with us. And I was like, Dad, let me go. And of course, he thought I was trying to go scores. He was like, you ain't doing it. Nope. You ain't going nowhere.
You ain't going to church, boy.
Right.
Sit down.
And so finally I got my friend Nikki to come over and talk to him. And she was like, look, you know, this is what we're doing. And so I went there and that's what got me through those days to where I could pass that urine screen so I could enter the military, was going and doing that Bible school and being connected up there with them kids. And then it also forced me to learn the material that I was teaching them. So it was like I had to, you know, learn some Bible stories that I didn't necessarily know.
Right.
And then find ways to present it to the kids. And then and doing that, the lesson I learned there was that I learn a lot when I have to show somebody else something.
Yeah.
Because I must internalize it first before I can transmit
and then present it.
Right. And so obviously you can't transmit something you ain't got. So you got to get it first. And so, you know, so doing that got me through there. I joined the military, excelled tremendously in the military in a lot of ways, but also didn't. Like I told you, I was institutionalized. So when I got to basic training, and I was in basic training in AIT, and I had all them drill sergeants, because guess what? They like COs, right? They there, somebody tell you what to do all the time. I did great. As soon as they sent me, I got done from there, went to airborne school, and then from airborne school, went to my duty station in Italy. And then it was like much less oversight.
Right.
And, you know,
kind of on your own.
Within like a week or two of being there, I had a drunk on duty, missing formation.
Goddamn.
They got in all types of trouble. And when you come into a unit like that in the military, you can't shake it.
Right.
Like once you get that tag, as soon as you get there, it's like no matter what you do. Because I was a high PT, you know, I did good in my job. Because I got that first bit of trouble, and for like 6 months, I ain't getting no trouble. And, you know, and they still didn't want to promote me. They still treated me like crazy. My best friend back here that I got tattooed on my arm, he got shot and killed. And they wouldn't let me come back for the funeral.
Damn.
And so that kind of started a downward spiral. And I started drinking real heavy. And one thing led to another, and I ended up getting kicked out of the military for distribution of hash, and went to prison in Germany, Mannheim, Germany, for about a year.
Bro, what? Hold on. You went to prison in Germany?
Yeah, when you're in the military, they got a regional confinement facility.
So it's like an American prison in Germany.
Right, so if you go
all right, I was about to say, hold the fuck up.
No.
All right.
No, because you're a soldier, right? So, like you're still in the army. So
yeah.
So they put me in so everybody that's in any type of duty station over there in the European, what they call it, in the European area, if you catch any type of fed case that's more than like a general court martial and you got more than a couple years, then they send you to this regional facility and then ship you back to like Fort Knox or one of them. And so because I only had a short period of time, they just let me do my time there. I had like a year. And so I did all my time there, got out, and came back home. You know, my best friend was dead. My other two best friends was in prison. And so, you know, I moved in with my one best friend that had got killed, his family. And actually, no, I take that back. I moved in with my dad first, and then after being home like maybe like 10 days, I overdosed in my house. And my dad was like, "You can never live here ever again." And so I went and stayed with them. And then, like, you know, that's when my social anxiety kind of started coming, because I had been gone away for a couple of years. My addiction had progressed. And then, you know, when I came back, I would go out to parties and see people. And because my best friend, when he got shot, the dude that killed him was friends of ours. So, like, it kind of divided our friend group, too. And so when I got back, just life had changed so dramatically. And then going out, like, people would ask me all the same, you know, what happened? And da-da-da. And it just... You know, I stopped wanting to go out, and then I just started isolating. And I had some money I had saved from the military, so you know, so that went up in coke and dope, and then that's really when the hook got set, right? Of like that's when it was like the point of no return, because that's all I did. It became my best friend. You know?
That's a lot of trauma too, man. That you never got the chance to heal from the age of 13. And how old were you then?
23 by the time I got out of the military.
So, bro, that's 10 years of trauma that you never fully sat down and had nobody come in and try to assist you with healing from it.
Yeah. You know, and so, but I knew, like, during my time in the military that I had a problem, too. Like, it became aware. You know, that was probably the time. I can remember thinking, because my whole mom's side of the family is alcoholics. So... But in my mind, alcoholism was like something you got when you got to be like 60. You know what I mean? It wasn't something you can get when you're 20. So when I was 20, I remember being 20 at the barracks, at the PX, getting me some food, and I couldn't eat it because I was shaking so bad. And it didn't, and then it all kind of clicked, and I was like, hold up, like. And then it just was mind blowing to me.
Right, that you started to understand, like, oh shit, like I'm an alcoholic.
Exactly. But I didn't know how to call it that necessarily. I just knew I had a terrible drinking problem.
See, I had a friend, God bless his soul, we used to laugh about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, but we didn't know. We would just be like, oh shit, you need a beer, like you're shaking, you know what I'm saying? And he would laugh, like, yeah, where's my Heineken? You know what I'm saying? Now, because I know better, I'm like, damn, you know, my dog really was struggling and none of us recognized it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. So I get court-martialed. Let me say this though. This is an important part. I always tell this part of the story is like when I was getting court-martialed, a bunch of my friends told on me, right? But that's neither here nor there. But the captain from the military, from the unit I was in, got up on the stand and they was like, tell us about Private Riggs. And he said, Private Riggs is the worst leader of negativity I have ever encountered in my entire Army career. but what I heard was leader.
Right.
Right. And so and I wasn't trying to lead nobody down the wrong path for real. I was just doing what the fuck I wanted to do and people naturally followed me. So what he meant by that was when I started getting in trouble, I ended up taking some other people out of the military with me that kind of started doing what I was doing, not because I was telling them to do it, but because they was just following.
They're following along.
Right. And so, so I kind of took hold of that little nugget, right? Back then I'm like, okay, I'm a leader, right? And I already knew that, but even then I kind of held on to that. And so I've always, man, even through all my drug use and stuff, I've always had this inkling or this thing nagging in my spirit of you supposed to be doing something bigger than what you're doing.
Bro, that is so crazy. I always tell him, man, it's like in every moment where I was in the shit, you know what I'm saying? I always had this inner voice bro, this isn't you. You know what I'm saying? You should be guiding them to do something differently. Why are you here? And it was always that way because my personality is one, I call it a gravitation. I pull people towards me. You dig? And so when I finally found recovery and now started to speak out, it became apparent of what it is. Oh shit, here is what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. That's dope, man. I'm glad that you had that inner dialogue too, and we run from it for so long, yo. So long.
Yeah, we do. And so look, so I leave the military, I get out, I come home, get all strung out, and then I get locked up in the Richmond City Jail for the first time, 2 months after coming home from the military.
Back to gladiator school.
Right. Yeah. And so, remember I told you that feeling I had going into the Chesterfield County Detention Home, I had the same feeling going into Richmond City Jail because I grew up like anybody around here, hearing stories about people like Lamont Kane and some of the other people that ran around in the jail. And so, this was in the old jail, not the new one, by the way. This is 2003. So I remember walking on the pod and looking in there and seeing everybody had on just boxers. Most people didn't have on shirts. And there was this big dude, 6'5", but had 8 bullet wounds and stab wounds. And he was lifting this bucket up. And I was just sitting there, I was like, what in the I was like, bro.
What in the fuck am I walking the jungle, goddammit?
And I was terrified. And so, and by this point, I was had been in the street, running the streets forever. So in the street, maybe I was scared, but I really wasn't scared like that. But being
the thought of consequences is beyond us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But I was scared, in terms of I'm not gonna be able to handle myself in here.
Word.
And so, but just like I am, I made friends quick, and and I knew some people in there from the street. So I got on the phone, called my people, and of course I started playing the wolf and shit. Oh, you gotta come get me. You know what I mean? You got the people in here. I'm telling them it's terrible in here and all this and that. And so they after a couple of days they come and bomb me out. I go home and I'm talking cash shit. You know what I mean? I'm like, it wasn't that bad. I'm showing
that was big dog in there.
Oh yeah, I'm showing everybody how to make a swollen shit. They
ain't know what the fuck they was doing. Bro, I came in and ran the pod.
Bro, looking back at that shit now, I'm looking back and I'm thinking how silly I look trying to show people how to make a jailhouse swollen, thinking I was the coolest dude.
Bro, isn't it so fucking wild how you come home? Did you make them when you came home?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Fucking idiot. I think everybody has done that, bro. I came home, showed up. My girl at the time said, yo, you put the bag of chips and this how you make a pizza.
Yeah.
Man, what a stupid ass. Yo.
But I'm going to tell you what it was, though, right? And I'm learning this the more I stay in recovery, right? Is that so the issue with that is that my identity was so tied into being that person, right? It's that's what I strove to be, because when I started growing up and getting into drugs, those were the people I looked up to, was the dudes that was doing time, the dudes that was in the street, the dudes that had reputations. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, bro. It's just the what do they call it? The 5 degrees of separation. So for everybody, if I'm hanging around 5 people and they millionaires, and I'll be the 6th. And it's the same way if I'm looking up to the idolized street people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's all the same. My path is there. Like, I see it. I'm going to end up in the same spot that they in if I continue to follow those steps. My homeboy DJ, solid guy. He was in the original Rick Ross crew back, in Cali days in the 80s, man. He's I want to say like 17 years sober now, but he found his recovery in prison because he got locked up when he was like 18, 19 years old when that whole operation fell.
Yep.
And his whole phrase is, I'm a copycat, except now I copy the right cats. And I like it, man. I call him my big brother, man, because we talk a lot, like frequently. And he's so well spoken and well rounded that, man, like not idolize, but man, I'm copying his moves. I'm like, bro, as long as you cool with me being a copycat, man, it's all love, bro. So that I like that fuck is the word? I'm like, perspective that you offered up. So
and now, right, like, and it's kind of jumping a little bit ahead, but like,
it's all good.
Not even ahead, but just, for a long time, my decisions like led me to a certain place, and then I began to take on that as my identity, right? And so for like years in early recovery, because even though jail was terrible and the streets were terrible, at least I was somebody there.
Right.
Like people knew who I was.
Yeah, you felt accepted.
I had a reputation too. Bro, I can remember being in the jail and thinking I was the coolest dude on earth because all the COs knew who I was.
Right.
Because when I walked in the door, they were like, Riggs, what you doing back? And I was like, yeah, y'all see that?
Yeah, you know the vibes. They know me. What's up?
Yeah.
What's up, CO Marshall? How you been, bro?
Yeah, like thinking
family
I'm cool.
good?
Yeah, like, bro, what?
Like his ass get to go home at night and I'm stuck in this shit and I'm saying what's up to him. Man, what the
Yeah, it was wild. And so,
hey, bro, the mind of an addict is a marvelous thing.
But check this out though, right? Like for like my first like 10 years of recovery, because my identity was still attached to the street, right? And like that whole persona, then I would always find my way back there because as human beings, we have the most undying drive we have within us. One of them is to live up to the image that we have of ourselves. And so, like to meet our identity, how we see ourselves. And so I was always drawn to that. But there was like a point in my recovery where I kept coming around long enough that my identity shifted from being that person to being a person in recovery. And then ever since then, just like in the beginning, a few years of my recovery, I always found my way back to the streets. Like once that transition made and my identity shift, I may have failed, but I always found my way back to recovery because that's who I am now.
Bro, drop that bar again. I could not make it out, but you said that your identity became a person in recovery. But how did you just word it? Or do you even remember? That is a clip. Because the way he said that shit, that was a bar, bro. Like, I wish I could repeat it. Because when I heard, I was like, oh, shit, he's spitting. Like, that's a track. All right. So then let's bring to the time, and this is what I call the U-turn moment, right? Because what I'm visualizing that is kind of like a lot of the same course of action with the same destination is like, man, I come home, street mentality, go to jail, prison, come home for a little bit, same thing. What was the defining moment where you found yourself like, bro, I'm done?
Well, I don't know if it was necessarily like that necessarily, but I had it happened. When I had my first child, it was when I first started questioning, like when I really started saying, I don't really want to do this anymore. I want to get myself together. But the turning point for when I really like made my mind up that I was going to do this recovery thing, like that identity shift was, it was a couple years after my daughter was born. She had got born. I had made all these promises. I was going to get my life together. I had come home from the diversion center, which is a Department of Correction facility that you work at and come home with a whole lot of money, like a work release kind of. And so I didn't have all the excuses were eliminated. I had the financial means. I had, to get my life and do whatever, and I squandered it all. And then anyway, I can remember being in Tucker's, right? My old lady my wife was about to come home from
Tucker's. That's the spot, St. Mary's.
Yes,
that's where I was.
It's a detox at Chippenham. I mean,
yeah. Oh, Chippenham. So Chippenham. All right, Chippenham is Tucker's. I went to the joint in St. Mary's. I don't know the fuck that's called.
Yeah, I don't know the name of it either.
Yeah,
but so I was in Tucker's and So my wife was about to come home from a Department of Correction facility. She had been locked up for 3 years because I had some kids and all that stuff in the mix of all this. That's a whole nother story. But
life.
yeah, but anyway, so she was about to come home, and so I checked myself into Tucker's, man. And at this point, I had been, this was in 2013 or 14, I had been around recovery since 2006. And so I had never had anything more than like a couple months here and there. And I was sitting in Tucker's, and I had kept my phone when they accidentally let me keep my phone. So I would cut it on at night because I knew my girl was going to call from jail. So she'd call at 6 or whatever. And I got on the phone, and the most rational thought I could come up with was ending my own life, because I had been trying recovery and it couldn't stick, man, for me. And so like, I was like at that stage where it was like, either I'm going to go and be like a real criminal and like rob banks or take hostages and or something. Right?
I'm going to stop playing this stupid shit.
Right. I'm going to stop riding the fence.
And I'm fucking going big. Federal Reserve, it is up.
Straight up. That's how
Ocean's 21 or whatever, Ocean's 11, yeah, we lit.
Look, that's what my mind was like, right? And so I remember telling my wife, she had answered the phone. I mean, she had called me, I answered the phone, and I told her, I said, look, I'm just ready to end my life. Like, I was like, I'm tired of dragging y'all through this, dragging everybody that loves me through this. If I die, then y'all will mourn me for a couple months, 6 months, and then y'all will fantasize about me, all these stories. I was like, but if I stay alive, then I'm going to keep on doing this to y'all. And she said, she listened for a second. She said, that's the stupidest shit I ever heard in my life. Right.
Yo.
She said, if we deserve better, give us better. And then, right, but.
And then she followed it up with the bar.
Right.
Salute.
And then I said, but in my mind, man, like it was like a moment of clarity, right? And I realized like, well, yeah, but what she said after that was, she said, baby, you don't never have to feel like this again. And it was like, when she said that, it was almost like God spoke that. And it was like, I heard
spiritual awakening, man, I swear, yo.
Bro, what I heard was, like, you are back in Tucker's again for the umpteenth time, right? You're here thinking about ending your life again, and you've never given recovery your all. Like, yeah, you've come in, you showed up, you've been around, but you never gave it what you gave the streets. That's what I heard. And so it was like...
everything clicked. The light bulb went off.
And I was like,
God,
you know
I got goosebumps, bro.
Yep. So I was like, I'm going to give it my all, and that's what I did. And you know, and one thing led to another.
And you said this was around 2013, 2014?
It was, yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And so I got out of there. I went to sober living, lived in sober living for a while. My wife came home like about a week after me going in there. We lived separately, and that's a huge part of our story too, right? Because my wife is also a person in recovery from substance use disorder, and so, and you know, recovering from histories of incarceration and criminality, right? And so when she came home, we lived separately. And, you know, we living in separate recovery houses. I'm paying $140 a week. She paying $140. That's $280 a week. That's $1160 a month or whatever that is. And then we also paying child support because we ain't got the kids. And so my mind was like, man, we need to move back in together and stop living separately. You know, like we spending too much money. And, but thank God that like I had surrendered, right?
Right.
And so,
yeah, not my will.
Right. And so I'm serious. And I tell people this, and I'm not joking, like my early recovery, if I thought it was a good idea, I didn't do it.
Right.
Because I had some really good ideas.
Stupid outcome.
Right.
Nah, I get it. I understand, bro. That's why you do turn that wheel over, man. And I even now, you know what I'm saying, in my struggles where I'm trying to rush shit to happen, it's like I got to fall back and realize like none of this was on my time. You did? And when I rushed it, it was always a very bad outcome.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yeah, so I get there, and at the time I'm doing like construction work, and that's a big part of it too, because I had a little bit of time before that, but I had got this job through a person I met in recovery working at Dominion Power. You know, if you grow up in this area, there's a few jobs you want to have, right?
Right.
DuPont, Reynolds, Philip Morris. Stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a couple more.
The VA.
Right, VA, yep. The Fed.
Yeah, the Fed, yeah.
Right, stuff like that. And so, but that job, the thing about it was I made good money, like $20-something an hour, $26 an hour. And, you know, but I would work like 7 or 6 12-hour shifts for like 3 or 4 months and then be laid off for 3 or 4 months. It was just terrible for my recovery.
Right.
But I couldn't let the job go because I was like, at this time I had kids, I had financial responsibilities, but I kept fumbling. And so finally, like somebody was like, look, man, you got to let that go, you know, because it keeps letting you hear. And because in my mind, I was like, that don't even make sense. I got kids to take care of. But like I told you, if it made sense to me, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
So I just said, you know what? And I started going down. And I did like little, you know, I helped a buddy out landscaping here. I did construction
like
work.
Little
there.
odds and ends.
Yeah, until I could do whatever. But the thing about me, though, bro, I'm going to go get her and I can tell the same thing about you.
Yes, sir.
And so when somebody give me an opportunity, then I seize it. Like my old pastor at the Salvation Army, he used to say success is when preparation meets opportunity.
They dropping bars, bro. We got a lot of shit to clip up. Yeah, we got a lot of shit to clip up. He came with the clip full. I love it.
And so, you know, you done threw me off.
Nah, man, it's a vibe, bro. I salute you, sir. This shit is sweet.
I feel you though. But so anyway, man. So I'm there. You know, I'm just staying in position, man, and taking it slow. My wife and I living separately. We separate our recovery too, right? So like, I'm going to meetings. We go to some meetings together during the week, but we ain't going to everyone, and we're not channeling behind each other because we're recovering from codependency.
Right. You making sure you take care of you and she take care of her.
Right. And man, I tell you what, man, it was one of the best decisions we ever made was living separately for a year. And just the way it worked out, man, was like everything just fell into place as far as us moving back in together. We set a goal. I said, I'm going to stay in sober living for at least 6 months. 6 months, I was ready to move out. I moved in with a friend. Tried to get her to come with me, but she was too comfortable. She said, I'm going to stay here another 6 months. So then we did that. And almost 6 months to the day of that next 6 months, an apartment, a dude I knew had got evicted. And the landlord called me and said, hey, the dude got evicted. He got locked up. Do you want to take this place over? And it was only 1 bedroom. But I was like, yeah. So we moved in, did that. And then in the next logical step, you know, on the 2-bedroom and so on and so forth, man. But there's an important part I got to share about this, though. I was doing that. Because during this time, I started going up to the McShin Foundation to volunteer. And we started doing videos kind of like this. Like we called it Project Inside Hoop. Because I did a lot of time, right? And so whenever I was incarcerated, we was in programs, we would watch videos from made from Hazelden, which is now they merge with Betty Ford and they do a lot of like publication. And so
the Danny Trejo joint.
Yes. And so and there's never right. So there's never anybody that we know on them. So I'm like, look, and a lot of guys that were in recovery with me, like we had like people knew us inside of these institutions. So I was like, look, we ought to do some videos and send them back in. John Shinholder had the connection with that because he was plugged in with the jail. So we started doing these videos. I'm not making no money or nothing. We just making them just service.
Yeah.
And so I'm doing that, and I'm doing odds and end jobs. And just trying to stay in position, man. I started going to school for social science, and I'm just doing whatever I can, man. And I was working with this guy that was using, right? And I knew he was using. And I'm like, man, he's like going, and he's coming to work. I mean, coming to the jobs like completely tore up. And I don't have no desire to use, so it ain't really impacting me. But my sponsor was like, I kept telling him, I'm like, man, dude's getting funky, and I really can't, you know, don't need to be around. And he's like, well, what you gonna do? And I'm like, well, right now I got to pay these bills. And he's like, yeah, but like, what you just gonna stick around? Like, what happens if you stay and then you use? You ain't gonna be able to pay no bills. And so he said, man, I'm telling you, he said, look, God done brought you this far. He ain't let you down yet.
Amen.
Right. And I'm gonna tell you this, man, and this is there's no BS, right? I quit that job on a Thursday, not knowing where my next paycheck was going to come from. I had child support. I had all this stuff, right? And I had plans too, by the way, and goals. You know what I mean? So walking away from a job was like...
bro, your whole list, the 6-month game plan is changing.
Right. And so, and that Monday, I got a call from a dude named Cricket that was working for the McShin Foundation.
Cricket.
So Cricket called and he said, hey, man, John is looking for somebody to go into Richmond City Jail to be a peer facilitator. And can you do it? And I said, yeah. And so that started so I went and started doing that in the Richmond City Jail with Dr. Scarborough. And
Dr. Scarborough, yo, we went to...
real life.
We went to school with the daughter. Go ahead. My bad.
Oh, okay, yeah.
A sidebar. Man, just tell him off mic. Yeah.
It's all right. So where was I in the story?
You went to the city jails.
Okay, yeah. So I'm in there with Dr. Scarborough doing peer work in there. And man, like, it's like, because I had started doing like group facilitation and things when I was like in certain programs inside of jails. And every time I would do it, people would be like, bro, you good at this. Like, you need to do this. You need to pursue this. Like, you really good at this. And so I started trying to do that. And I basically just took everything I had learned at all the programs I had been at and just started like connecting with the people. And I found out like I got a gift, you know what I mean?
Hell yeah, bro.
At being able to connect with people in that way and facilitate. And so I started doing it there. And it's funny because when I started, I only had like 9 months of continuous recovery. And so when John told Sarah that, she said like they were skeptical to use me. He said, trust me, just trust me on it. So he put me in the jail, and after 2 weeks, they wanted to re-up me and extend me for another 30 days.
Bro, that's awesome.
Right. So I'm like, well, I'm on cloud nine, bro. Yeah. I'm like working in the jail that I did most of my time at. It's like so surreal to me at this time, and my life is just so falling into place. I was in heaven, bro. And then one day, man, John Shinholder was like, look, the sheriff from Chesterfield County called me. They want to start a program in that jail. And he's like, we got to go over there and meet with him. So I went over there and we walked in there and we walked into this pod. And basically it was like 6 or 7 guys in there, me and John and the sheriff. And they talked for a couple minutes, and then John leaned over, he said, give him a program. Walked out. And I'm sitting there like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that was the start of the heart program in Chesterfield County Jail.
That's what's up.
And so we which is now like a nationally recognized program.
I see them doing a lot, man. I follow a couple people on my IG that are consistently involved with that. And I'm trying to find my way into Henrico and get over there in the heart program as well, man, just to kind of give back too.
I got you, bro.
Let's link. After that, let's do that.
Yeah, I'm plugged in with them.
All right, bet.
So anyway, and I'm working with them now a lot too as well. So but anyway, they're amazing people. Sheriff Carlin over there really broke the mold with that dude. He does things in his jail that most sheriffs wouldn't even consider. And that's what makes heart what it is that he kind of cut through a lot of red tape, and he allows for things to transpire that allow for a very effective bridge from the institutional recovery community to the
life.
civilian recovery
to
community.
give you some tools and access to when you come home you can utilize.
Not only that, but he has brought some really amazing people in there. Carrie Rhodes, who is an amazing therapist, and her son died from opioids, and she's a huge activist. She does trauma tapping with them. Their program director, Bailey Hilliard, she's awesome. Their outreach coordinator, April Hutchison. Like, these are all people that are just amazing. They do an amazing job over at Harp. I'm so grateful to be a part of that.
Dog, you know what's so cool? You started this joint by talking about your leadership capabilities and how the street life was what you gravitated to. Bro, look at how you took that same mindset and look at the spaces that you're in.
No, bro.
Surrounded by so much, not just success, but purpose-driven people to give back to the same seats that you once sat in to change the trajectory of their lives.
And look, you talk about the rule of 5, right? Whew. Now see where that goes.
Yo.
Right? So, yeah, man, I'm so grateful to be a part of that. So we started that. I stayed there for, if you don't mind me moving on.
Do your thing, bro. Do your thing.
So I feel like we're taking a long time, so I don't want to hold you too long.
Yeah, shit. Bro, it is what it is, man. I chopped this joint into 3-4 episodes if I got to, because I enjoy this. This is dope.
All right, well, good. That makes me feel less stressed, because there's a lot to this story.
You're right.
So I'm doing hard for like the first, I don't know, I'm there for like 13 or 14 months. It starts to develop and can become his thing. The sheriff starts inviting like the CSB, which is the Community Service Board, and different, community resources into the jail, and it's growing. We start a women's harp. Just to be involved with that is really like, when I look back at my life, it's probably one of the biggest highlights of my life.
It's cool because it lets us know that all of the shit that we went through wasn't for no reason.
Right. And so check this out, though. So here's the hit. It's like I was going into Richmond City Jail doing that stuff when we came, and then Harp started. And like Chesterfield was where my heart was at anyway, because that's where I grew up. And so being able to go into Harp, like a lot of guys in there knew me from the street, knew me from growing up. And so it made my message a little bit more effective, right? Because them guys knew who I was.
You were tangible. I could reach you.
No doubt.
You know what I'm saying?
And
I know you.
And they knew me being as like one of the worst cases.
Word.
Like, I was the one that people counted out, bro. Even some of the worst people you can think of thought I was worse.
That is the like definition of hope. Yo, if Ryan can do that shit, I know I can do it.
Exactly. And hey, look, bro, listen, if I can't, look, when I first got into recovery, none of my friends were in recovery. And when I tell you right now, pretty much everybody I grew up with is either in recovery or dead. I'm not lying to
What
you.
a blessing you are, bro.
Yep. And so, and that's not, I'm saying just because of me or nothing.
Nah,
but,
I get it. I know.
But like, I think I started something and then other people came and then
Gravitated
other people
to it.
seen them. And then it just,
It's creating a trend the same way, man. That's that same, don't want to mix up, but the gentleman in the military that said you were the worst leader.
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You have now led people into recovery just by stepping out.
Yeah.
On faith.
Bro, let me tell you a powerful story about that too. It's like, because my dad and I, which I didn't cover a lot of this, but like we struggled a lot throughout the years, and he loved me with tough love. He wasn't like that enable type of guy. And you know, he worked for the county, and so he used to ride around and do water meters and stuff. And like, you know, people knew me, and so whenever they would see him, and how's Ryan doing? They was like, he's in this jail, or he's in this program, or he's going through this and going through that. And when we started HARP, one of my friends, his sister Carla had passed away, and so my dad, he was just that dude, so he couldn't go to the funeral. And so my dad was at the funeral, and just so happened the girl, like, I didn't make it to, I couldn't make it to the funeral. I had something else going on, but my dad was there, and a bunch of other HARP guys that came out of HARP were there, and like a bunch of them went up to my dad and said, they just wanted to let him know. They were like, I just want to let you know that your son helped save my life. And I'll never forget when my dad called me, man, and told me that story, and he was crying, and he was like, son, I'm so proud of you.
Take it down, bro. Take it down.
And so, man, bro, that was just a powerful thing, right? And so that was one of the many gifts I got from being involved with HARP. And but my life continued to progress, right? And at this time, you know, peer support wasn't a thing, and they really weren't making no money. And so I kept on telling them, like, my life is progressing. Like, I got my wife, I got custody of my kids back. And that's another thing too, right? And I got to say this for anybody that does like peer work or helps peers. Listen, man, the most valuable thing you can do when you're doing that work is be a vision. Like, forget what you say. Yes, that's good. If you can talk good, yes, cool. But like, what is your feet saying? Because people watching you.
Right.
And that's what made me effective in HARP. That's what made the message that I carry so effective. It's not because I can talk good. It's because them guys watch me come in there and not have no license and go to willing to drive a scooter. And I was riding a scooter from all the way from Henrico to Chesterfield and sometimes out to Pamunkey because I was facilitating the L-Pod in Pamunkey too. And so they watched me do that. They watched me go through that, get my license, get my kids, get a car. You know what I mean?
By
like
any means necessary, I'm showing up.
Yep. And won't no excuses. And so and man, I can't tell you, like, being a part of that transformed my life because it gave me, aside from, you know, me helping them, it was helping me because I knew that they were looking at me. The guys in there were looking at me like, man, like looking at me for being a leader. And so, like, because I'm going to be honest, there were times when I even did it one time. I was at the Wawa right there on Route 10, and I may or may not have put a charger in my pocket. Right?
Here I am crying and shit.
But I'm saying this to say, right, like, I was in there and I could rationalize putting the charger in my pocket because I felt like I had just got an iPhone, switched from iPhone to Samsung, and I was like, man, I can't believe they're trying to charge me $20 for this one that was $5 yesterday. And I felt justified, so I put it in my pocket. And then I thought about when I left there, I was like, man, if I had got caught,
everything's done.
Yeah. And I told the guys in the program about it. I went in there that day and I told them myself, I ain't stole nothing since.
Word.
Right? Because it was like, I realized like what the weight of this role that I play is right now, right? And I really took, I really was a good steward over that, right? And so I stayed in that lane and I did that for a while. And after being there, I had, you know, made some connections with people in the community, and Dr. Jimmy Thompson over at Master Center for Addiction Medicine. It was Virginia Center for Addiction Medicine at the time. I had some friends that were working over there. It was like, man, they're starting this new, because that, if you don't know, Master Center is the first addiction medicine as a specialty facility in the state. It may even have been in the nation. I'm not sure. But, and what I mean by that is like, you know, if you get a bone issue, you go to
like a pain
orthopedic doctor. Yeah. If you go to a foot, you go to a podiatrist or whatever. Right. And so Master Center was like addiction medicine as a specialty because before that they dealt with it like through methadone clinics and like it wasn't
or they
treated.
didn't know what to do.
Right. And so anyway, I went over there and I interviewed for that job, and I ended up getting it, and I started working there doing peer work in the medical space, and that was like a crash course in growth for me is education, right? Because then I'm around a whole bunch of doctors, right? Because one thing I do, I'm like a sponge, dude.
Bro, I'm in that space now where I'm constantly day to day talking to doctors, therapists, psychiatrists, and like I have to be present. You know what I'm saying? My notes have to be proper. So like I got thrown into it where it's like, man, it's just not me trying to assist somebody finding recovery. I'm also trying to build relationships with these, people way higher education levels than me, but I'm learning how to speak to them, which, in my eyes, how my life has worked, it's only preparing me for whatever's next on the list. You know what I'm saying? So 100%, I dig that.
100%.
That's what's up, bro.
And being there with them, it also helped me because like, and they did a really good job of this over there. It's like they created an environment that that they made you feel like what you had to say was valuable. And
instead of being dismissive.
Right. They value my opinion. And I got really close with one of the doctors there. His name is Dr. Craig Sweeney. He's now the medical director for the Coleman Institute.
Coleman Institute. I'm actually
go ahead. And Dr. Sweeney is he's awesome. But anyway, him and I got tight. And so our relationship, I learned a lot from him. Right. And then Dr. Master, who was the head psychiatrist there, he was like the head of psychiatry at Tucker's, the head of psychiatry at every major. He'd been practicing psychiatry since it was a thing.
Damn it.
And so he used to like call me in his office because he knew I thirst for knowledge. So he'd be like, Ryan, come here. And he would like give me a packet on like the history of SSRIs or some shit, right? And bro, it was so cool, man. And so, I just soaked it up, man. And
that's what's up, bro.
And I created a lot of good relationships through that. And I really liked it there, man.
Man, so you've taken, this is what I would like, the story that should be presented on TV. Yeah. Like, for real. Because, bro, you've been through, like, every phase of life to where at any given moment, I'm checking out, I'm done. But somehow, man, you sitting here in front of me, right?
I'm blessed.
Telling me, bro, I got goosebumps. I'm inspired as hell. And, bro, like, the support you showed me from what I'm dealing with, bro, off jumping. We've never talked. We ain't met each other, bro. That shit meant everything to me, man, because I don't know where this road leads. And I, as a man, bro, I'm real with it, man. Throw me the fucking tissue box. You know what I'm saying? Bro, it's like...
Bro, I'm with you.
Oh, shit, man.
Well, listen, I appreciate your authenticity, man, and the energy just went up a notch. Like, I already felt super connected, but I'm telling you, man, like,
It's just real, bro. It's genuine and real, man. So I appreciate you pulling up, man. So how I generally, when we come to a close, I know you talk to people so frequently, about your life story. Somebody walks in right now, man, you look at them and you see yourself in them, but they're past you. What word of advice? I know we're not really supposed to give advice, but what could you say to them, man, that you think would spark them to make the change?
That's a tough one, man. God, it's hard for me because as a peer, it's like I know that there ain't really much you can. I don't know if there's a right thing to say. So what I would say is I probably wouldn't say nothing. I would just listen.
Let them talk. Bro, that's the realest advice. Because I generally, allow people, but the people that I've interviewed aren't in the peer recovery space, so they don't get it to the point where, like, man, sometimes you do just have to shut up and listen.
I mean, some people, man, they just want to feel connected and be heard, right? And they say, like, connection is the opposite of addiction. Oftentimes when people are met with, you'd be surprised, man, if you talk to somebody and you and you just let them talk. Oftentimes they'll walk right into their own solution. Right. Or if you just agree with them, when they say they want to do some wild shit, they'll be like, oh, I want to go move in with my girl. You'd be like, all right. Then they'd be like, they got the week clean. They'd be like, and then all of a sudden you'd be like, all right.
What you mean? You said it, bro. I'm just agreeing with you.
So I don't know, man. I would just tell people that I care about them and that they ain't alone, and that there have been many people that have suffered similar circumstances, whatever their circumstances are. I have no idea, but I promise you that people have overcome equal or heavier things. And I would just listen, and I would tell them that I'd be there for them, because I know the value of that, of just somebody feeling like they got somebody they can talk to, you know.
I love it, bro. And once again, I know I've said it several times, brother, but I appreciate you pulling up, man, and sharing that with us. You feel me? Like we gotta connect soon, man, and just keep building, because this is what I'm all about, is building with people right here in Richmond to continue to push this message forward of recovery, man. So thank you again, Ryan. Is there anything that you're working on currently that people need to know about?
Yeah, so
go ahead, let it out, man. Let it out.
So real quick, right, before I get to that, right, I just want to say that because I ended up relapsing on like 5.5 years of continuous recovery after I found this, right? And I almost didn't make my way back, but I came back like 2 years ago, and I got back into...
Salute to you, sir.
I got back into working in the recovery space again, and so I'm back. I'm working at a place called Imagine the Freedom Recovery Foundation. You know, I do peer support work there, and you know, and I also have a nonprofit called Paw Saver. It stands for Pet Assist While Seeking a Vital Recovery. And so what we do is we help animals that have been impacted by substance use disorder. What I mean by that is any animal that has been hurt, harmed, or neglected or abandoned due to a human being's substance use disorder. So due to the opioid epidemic, we have lost a lot of people that have overdosed and are no longer here, and a lot of them people have pets. We have also lost people to incarceration, because the way we deal with addiction, we still criminalize it in a lot of ways. And so, and not only that, but a lot of times for people that are seeking treatment or recovery support services, being a pet owner is a barrier to recovery, because they can't access those services because they don't have anybody to take their pet. So we foster people's animals while they seek treatment primarily, and then we also help rescue and adopt other animals. I got to say this, though. We're very small. I've been doing this for like 2 years. I took a dog about 2 years ago that his owner had passed, and that's what started it. And, you know, in the past like 2 years, I've done 12 dogs. I'm in the process of finalizing the 501c3 paperwork now. The next thing up is I'm going to be building like a center in my backyard that houses like 6 to 8 animals, so I can take them in that need of crisis and then start working on placement. And, you know, hopefully within the end of the year, I'll be up and fully operational. And then, you know, hopefully in 5 years, I'll have a 40,000 square foot facility, and I'll be able to take any animal that's in need.
Hey, well, like you said yourself, bro, like you know how to go get it. So, hey, whatever this gentleman does, everybody make sure you support it. I'm with it. And if you feel me, bro, I appreciate you. Until next time, man, we out.